Right. So we have gone through the final day of the season yesterday. And I don't know, Danny, for teams that don't really have much to play for, Manchester City, I don't know, did a pretty good job, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, I forgot that it was Aguero's last game, that they were in front of their home fans for the first time. They were going to get the cup. Of course, they were going to play their strongest team, and they were going to destroy them. I didn't think of that. But do you not think that the whole day yesterday was almost like it was designed for match of the day? It was almost like the swing. You know how last day of the season, match of the day, every year, they'd like the split screen, the jump from one to another, like the Villa scoring, then Leicester going ahead, then Spurs drawing, then Chelsea getting that goal. It couldn't have been. I mean, it could have been a really boring last day. And at least they did something for match of the day to make it interesting.
Well, part of your point was that teams that don't really have much to play for, it's pretty boring, and the teams that do. So I guess this is somewhat proving your point, even though the first part is we've both basically put the evidence yesterday on the WhatsApp group that you're wrong. But yeah, I think the teams that actually had something to play for made a great day of it, because it could have been boring, I reckon.
Yeah, going into a few weeks ago before Liverpool did their run, it looked like the season was over. There was no title race, no bottom three, and top four only got interesting once the United game got rearranged. And yeah, so the top four made it interesting. But I don't know if potentially it being a Euros year, as you say, like teams don't have much to play for, but players have stuff to play for. So I said before,
well, Kane was going for golden boot as well, so it's one of those little subplots.
Yeah, so you got golden boot and goldenest playmaker, whatever it's called. Salah was also going for it. He missed quite a few one-on-ones. I thought Villa could upset Chelsea, because I was like, well, Grealish seems to only need one bad game and Southgate just drops him. So I was like, well, I feel like Grealish needs to have a good game to have any chance of making the 26. So yeah, so players have stuff to play for. And if a couple players have stuff, then it can raise the team a bit.
I don't know what Pepe's got to play for, but he's certainly looking. I don't know. Was he trying to play for? He's not French, but he is French, isn't he?
He is French, yeah.
Yeah, he's playing for a move. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Is his contract up? It must be.
Can I just make a point on Pepe while we're on the subject? So I've actually always said from the start that Pepe has every attribute you need to be a top class winger, like a world class winger, in the sense that he can run, he's got a trick in him, he can beat a man, and he's not a bad finisher either. And I think if he's played properly under a proper manager in a system that suits him, he could be a 20 goal a season wide man. He was at Lille. Yeah, at the risk of sounding like
congratulations, Lille.
Congratulations, Lille. Well, at the risk of sounding like Mark, I do think that the Premier League is tougher to score 20 goals than in France, especially if you're a top side.
Premier League farmers.
Yeah. I think he could get 20 goals, league goals. If we played like a similar style to Liverpool, I think Nicolas Pepe could get 20 goals. I think
do you know how many he's got this season? How many league goals Pepe scored?
10?
10.
10, yeah. He's halfway there, and he's had a terrible season. So I don't think it's a stretch to say get 20.
Yeah, I mean, 10, bear in mind the first 19 games, he only started about 5. So,
yeah.
And Arteta...
He's actually started 16 games this season.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And Arteta's playing him as kind of like a winger, but a winger how we would describe a winger in 1997, i.e. Giggs, Beckham, Overmars. That winger that hugs the touchline, gets to the byline and tries to put a cross in. For the first half of the season, I feel like that's how Arteta was setting up. Like, the wingers were really wide, they were hugging the touchline, they were showing us that out ball, which Pepe's never going to be that player. Pepe has to be getting the ball and driving at the goal from wide areas. He has to play from the wide areas rather than in the wide areas, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I guess, but without making this a bit of a Pepe love fest, seeing as he's recently scored a couple goals, as a kind of overview of the season, I know, Danny, we spoke this is the reason why we pick League One teams, since we were finding the season quite boring. But could you summarize how the season's gone for yourself? Because like for me, this was a season that was built for Manchester City because of all the condensed fixtures, the rotation of players that they usually have in this season. In terms of all the teams that have won the Premier League, I don't know how close this is to one of their strongest teams, but it was just basically because they had enough players that they could put in and out. From the champions' perspective, and I guess the rest of it, if you can, what do you reckon? Are you looking forward to next season, and you're done with this one?
I think there has to be some big signings for next season to be more interesting. Like I think there's a lot.
Man United or for everyone?
No. Across a lot of the top teams. Like I know Aguero's going, and there's that, but just across all of the top teams, across the Liverpools, the Cities, the Uniteds, the Arsenals, like all the teams are in pretty desperate need of some people in that squad. Partly because it's a squad game now, and you need more, and City have shown that. But partly because I think there's a bit of an aging population in those teams. And it needs a bit of a refresh of, new blood.
Even Chelsea.
Well, Chelsea's a funny one because although they went and spent a bunch of money last year, actually they haven't been playing all like Ziyech. Well, I know he's 28, 29, but he hasn't even played that much. He's been injured most of the season.
Do you think Tuchel knows his best 11, by the way?
No, I don't think he does. But also, I don't think that they still don't really have a number 9. I know they got Tammy Abraham. He's probably going to go, and they've got Giroud, but he doesn't seem to. No one wants to start him. So I think all of those top teams. I think it's going to be a super exciting summer with transfers. The Euros sometimes screws transfers, but also because there's the Euros, there's the under-21 Euros, there's the CONCACAF. I'll be saying it. There's all the big tournaments. We all know what clubs love to do is go and buy whoever played best and spend a fortune on the one season wonder Sissoko. I look forward to next season because I think there's going to be quite a lot of change. I think there'll be a lot of new blood in a lot of these big teams.
Rory, we've got two teams that have probably been, we know they've been in the Premier League quite a lot, and I'm sure you've kept an eye on the Championship. For Sunday's or Saturday's game, are you looking forward to Swansea and Brentford? And who do you reckon you want to come up?
So I am looking forward to Swansea and Brentford. I just want to also give a shout out to Wayne Routledge. Was carried off at the weekend, 36 years of age, still playing regularly for Swansea, still scoring goals. Bit of love for him. Absolutely. I mean, I can remember Wayne Routledge playing.
Might be the only person that will ever say that.
What? You're what?
Bit of love for Routledge.
Bit of love for. I mean, I can remember Wayne Routledge playing like it for Crystal Palace in about 2006, 2007. Like we're talking like 16, 17 years ago when he was like a young up and coming player for Palace. And back then he was like a bag of tricks winger with loads of pace. And he's developed into a player that can pretty much play everywhere. It wouldn't surprise me if he's played everywhere across the midfield and up top now in his career.
Can't score a goal for love nor money, but
I'd like to get his record up. Actually, I don't have it in front of me. But anyway, I am looking forward to it. I would have actually liked to have seen Barnsley against Brent. Well, I'd actually like to see Barnsley against Bournemouth if I had a choice. I feel like Bournemouth have got some really interesting players. I mean, players that once they went down, you wouldn't have expected them to hold on to. Players like Philip Billing, players like the other centre mid whose name escapes me at the minute. Any help, Danny? Who was Bournemouth's centre mid last season?
Well, I was going to say it's not centre mid, but they had Brooks, didn't they? It was good.
Brooks has stayed as well.
The young England, the guy who was England captain when they won the World Cup, is he still there? I've forgotten his name now.
Who, the Liverpool? Jordan Ibe?
No, the midfielder, short guy. He was captain of the under-19s when they won the World Cup. Can't remember his name. I was just looking up Wayne Routledge, and he scored 25 goals in 260 games for Swansea, and I was thinking,
talking about Billing.
No, Billing. There's Billing, and there's someone else. Anyway, you're thinking of Lewis Cook. You're thinking of Lewis Cook.
Lewis Cook, yeah, that's what I'm thinking of.
But he's
talking about Jack. Are you talking about Jack Wilshere?
No, Jack Wilshere is there as well, though. Also, although he didn't play at the weekend, I don't know whether he's injured or what happened. But
to be fair, haven't they got Shane Long? I mean, anyone with Shane Long's just. I'm sorry, but he's Shane Long. He doesn't score goals.
He does in the Championship, though. He's a. In fact, I know we're going off subject. I want to bring this to the table. Jason Kumas syndrome. Jason Kumas is
Who?
one of the best. You don't remember
Who's he?
You don't remember Jason Kumas? So Jason Kumas played for Wigan and he played for West Brom back in the day, and he was a player a little bit like Peter Whittingham, who's no longer with us, who played for Cardiff. These are players that were absolutely outstanding in the Championship. I'm talking like 2025. Earnshaw, another one. Like these players were Nathan Ellington, another
Bamford, oh wait,
the absolute goal machines in the Championship, especially Kumas. I mean, I watched Jason Kumas play for Wigan and thought this bloke will be playing for England in 18 months' time. He just looked a class above anyone else on the pitch. And then, I mean, he was a decent enough Premier League player. He probably played 2 or 3 seasons, but he never looked quite as good. But yeah, Jason Kumas syndrome, that's what I'm bringing to the table. But yeah, my prediction, I'm
glad we went through that.
Good. I felt like it had to be said.
good job for asking, Chris.
Yeah. My prediction for the weekend will be Brentford, although I don't think Brentford are what the Premier League needs. And I don't think, I just.
What, you want Brentford over Swansea over Brentford?
I want Swansea over Brentford, yeah.
Why?
I was so gutted last year when Fulham beat Brentford because I was like, Fulham's some bang average team. They're just going to come up to get relegated. And they did exactly what I thought. There was like 3 games where Fulham, I thought, oh, are they going to do a run here? And then they didn't. Otherwise, they added absolutely nothing to the league.
But the thing is with Brentford is, personally, I think there's so many big clubs in the Championship that have, I mean, even clubs like Preston and Bristol City that have never been in the Premier League. Like, I'd love to see clubs like that up. And they're clubs with like a really passionate local support. When do you ever meet a Brentford fan? You've got 4 geezers here who all live in London. When do you ever meet a Brentford fan?
Although my cousin, who's a Middlesbrough season ticket holder, says Brentford away is the best away day in the Championship.
Why? Because it's got a pub on each corner.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Yeah,
and also you can walk down to Chelsea or Fulham or QPR or any of the others when you want to.
Yeah, exactly. Wouldn't you rather see like a club with an actual fan base in the Premier League?
The thing I'm excited for Brentford though is Ivan Toney.
Yeah, Ivan Toney.
Like a young, well, I say what's in mid-20s or something,
Yeah,
English striker who scored 31, 32 goals, like 30 plus goals. And if he can turn it on in the Championship, we might have in the Premiership, we might have a new striker.
But what Brentford are like a conveyor belt. They must have the best scouting system in England because you look at the player. I mean, Neil Maupay. This is just in the last 4 years. Ollie Watkins, Said Benrahma, Neil Maupay, and now Ivan Toney, as well as Mbeumo, who's still there. Like, we're talking about, they pick these players, whether they get them from France. I mean, I know Ivan Toney they got from Peterborough, but and Ollie Watkins they got from Exeter City. But they pick up these players and they bring them up, and they just seem to do it in the Championship. So I dare say, even if Brentford lose and Ivan Toney leaves, they'll find another striker next year as well.
Well, with these teams that have got promoted, and we were obviously touting Leeds as being, an exceptional side that's come up and looking to compete. For me, this was one of the more competitive Premier League seasons for whatever reason. COVID, just teams not being as good. Mark, do you think that this season has been more competitive than usual? And if so, like for what reason?
Outside the bottom 3. It's been the worst relegation.
Even the top 1 as well.
Yeah, it's been the worst relegation battle I can remember.
It's pretty bad, isn't it?
Yeah, it was over 3-4 weeks ago, and the most exciting thing was whether Sheffield United would be the worst team ever. Like, I think they're the lowest goal scorers ever. They've gone down as so. That was like the excitement. But in terms of competitiveness, yeah, I'd say so. I think there was like a few sort of mid-table teams like Everton, Villa, Leeds,
Arsenal.
who you were like could give you a game. And when you look at the league now, it seems a bit sad looking at how it's ended because you're like City, United, Liverpool, Chelsea, and you're like, oh, I could have called that. Well, I didn't, but like some of us would have called that as our top 4. Yeah. And it looks like, standards for the big 6 have got the big 4, but actually it doesn't tell the story of how well Leicester were, how well Villa was. Wolves were very competitive until Jimenez got injured.
Well,
Like,
they
basically
said
had
match of the day showed, Leicester City spent the most time in the top 4 out of all the teams in the Premier League and just lost it just at the end there, which is
Yeah.
and
Which
and
is a
then
shame.
I love how quick pundits get to label people with certain things, because it was like 2 months ago, Brendan Rodgers was a genius, and now they're like, oh, he seems to collapse at the end of the season. Does Rodgers have this thing about him where he collapses? And you're like,
They said that about Bielsa for 2 years, and now look at him. He destroyed the championship, and then this year, last 11 games, only lost 1 game.
Danny, do you think the Premier League's got the best lineup of managers it's had in a while?
Well, we haven't got the Wengers and the Fergies anymore, but yeah.
No, but I mean, just
managers last time, but yeah, I'd say so. I think you look at Bielsa and Ancelotti.
We got Pep, Klopp, Tuchel, Brendan Rodgers, who I think is good. I think Moyes is good. Obviously, Spurs and Arsenal probably the only ones that in kind of like the top half of the league that don't really have good ones at the moment. But I don't know. I was just looking at it now and I was just thinking, well, if you've got Ancelotti in 10th with Everton. I know they just got smashed, and yeah, 10th isn't very good, but Ancelotti's still a good manager. It just seems like, yeah, there's a good number, and wherever Nuno goes, even though he's 13th, I just think that's why it's probably been as competitive as it has been a long time, just because we've got great managers as well as players.
Tell you what, Everton finishing 10th, that's a shocker, isn't it? 2 weeks ago, they were fighting for Champions League, and they're 10th. That's crazy.
I'm really disappointed with how they've dropped off, actually. I think the only games that they've won really in the last couple of months was actually against Arsenal. When they I mean, that in fact, I'm putting that into the ring for the worst game of the season. Like, as in
when they beat West Ham away, I thought like there was about 6 games left of the season. They beat West Ham away to overtake them to go into 5th, and I thought, all right, you look at Everton's running. They had Villa who weren't playing well. They had Sheffield United. They had Wolves. They had just no one. You thought, it's theirs to throw away, and they just lost like half those games. I don't know. Weird one, that. Really weird.
Yeah, I think. Sorry, just quickly. I look at their players, and I just don't see week in, week out consistency. Like, I look at Richarlison.
Richarlison's terrible. Right? He's
terrible. Come on,
he's terrible.
On his day, looks good. Rodriguez is good, but then they all have the ability just to go entirely missing for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then.
But Richarlison's like a vacuum, though. Like he's just relentless in how bad he is, but when he's good, obviously it comes off. But he's just so bad.
There's a lot of arguments in favour of him. One, he's a winger that's being played mainly as a striker because they're playing with 2 up top, but they have played with 2 up top a fair bit this season. 2, wingers by nature are unpredictable and inconsistent. If you look throughout history, the wingers that haven't been inconsistent are in the GOAT of wingers conversation. So if I asked you to name 5 wingers that aren't inconsistent, you'd probably say Ian Robben, Frank Ribery, Luis Figo, Lionel Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo when they play out there. Other than that, almost every other wide player, from like even Zambrotta, Damien Duff,
Stephen Pienaar.
Even Stephen Pienaar was outrageous on his day. Stephen Pienaar would have a game. He'd have a game where he was virtually unplayable.
I just killed off your point with one name. All right?
No, but he'd have a game where he was virtually unplayable.
Goat of all goats. I know that left hand side with him and Baines.
And then he'd go 5 games without doing anything. And like, I know people look back on him with rose tinted specs now. Robert Pires's first season at Arsenal was very, very hit and miss. It was only his second and third seasons when he sort of like slotted in and started playing well. So yeah, I feel like using the argument that he's inconsistent is a little bit harsh.
Let's finish on this point, right? For this part, would you like Arsenal to sign Richarlison?
Yes.
Wow, that didn't go how I wanted it to. That's so dumb.
That's a bizarre signing for Arsenal.
Yeah, that's how I know you're talking nonsense.
Well, you're asking me, would I have him in the squad along with Pepe, Saka, Martinelli?
No, you don't need him. He's not going to play.
Don't need him.
You wouldn't get you. I reckon he would start 15 to 20 games in that.
Yeah, but
that's not a good thing. That's not a good thing. Yeah,
and that's out of necessity because you haven't got anyone else because the other half are injured.
And he don't like Martinelli.
Yeah, I think you're all being a little bit harsh on Richarlison. I think
the quality is there. He just does. He's got that same thing as he just doesn't look like he cares half the time. And I know because I've watched Everton when I've captained him on my fantasy team, and I'm like, the guy don't care. Like,
So you must rate him because you've captained him though.
yeah, because
Mark's just not very good at the old fantasy football.
Mark's not very good at it.
well, we'll get to that in a minute.
We'll never get into it, Mark. Leave it. Right, we did predictions at the beginning of the season. So Rory, you could actually be the impartial adjudicator of how well we've done here.
All right.
So we did.
I will be impartial in the sense that I'll get stuck into all of you. So that is.
I know we're going to talk about our predictions. You're going to start talking about Stevenage in League Two all of a sudden. Like.
Yeah, Chris, I think me and you had the similar prediction of top 4, and Rory's going to kill us.
Yeah, so we did our top 4, and we did our top 4, and then bottom 3, who we thought were going to be there, and then we did 3 bold predictions, which we do each season. All right, so we'll go with the bottom 3. How about that? Because that's got the more diversity. Also, because I remember with the bottom 3 thinking, all right, let's just try and mix it up a little bit because the top 4 kind of plays itself out, and we almost didn't have that until yesterday. But my relegation teams were Fulham, which I think we all went for, which we were right. I went for Brighton, which kind of close. I have no idea why I went Aston Villa. Do either of you remember what I said? Why I went for Aston Villa?
It's because they stayed up on the last day of the season, the season before, and you didn't rate Martinez, and I told you they just signed the best goalkeeper in the league, and you laughed at me.
Fair enough. Danny, you went for Crystal Palace, West Brom, and Fulham, so you got 2 out of the 3.
That's not bad.
That's not bad, isn't it? And then
even Palace went through stages of looking dreadful this season.
Yeah, they always do.
Also went through some stages of looking half decent.
And then Mark went for West Brom, Fulham, and West Ham. So
I can't believe none of us went for Sheffield United.
Well, because they were almost like the Leeds of last season, right? They were playing a brand of football which we all enjoyed and which we liked, and they didn't seem like they were going to be that bad. And you think, all right, maybe they might have a drop off or they might improve, but to go and become possibly one of the worst teams in the Premier League, you're like, that's a bad drop.
I think something went on there, to be honest. Something behind the scenes happened because they were very, very good. Lundstrom.
Yeah.
Well, they had a whole thing with his contract, didn't they? Do you remember? There was a whole hoo-ha with Lundstrom's contract because they put a contract in front of him that was going to make him like one of their highest paid players, and he just flat out
probably just showed them as like, have you seen what I've done on fantasy football?
Yeah, well, he just flat out refused to sign the contract, and it sort of seemed to spiral from there.
Yeah, I've got to try and remember these predictions at the time because some of them seem obvious. Like, why didn't we pick Sheffield United? But this was
Sheffield
before
United
the season.
I remember last season me and Chris went to the Arsenal Sheffield United game.
Like, I put West Ham bottom 3, which they 100% would be if they didn't sign Lingard. like, you don't know how to say it's a long season.
They had Moyes? Had they had Moyes at the time as well? Though?
Yeah.
But
Moyes has been there the same amount of time as Arteta.
Dearie me.
Yeah, I know. Less said about it, the better.
Yeah. Who is our winners?
I want to hear your top 4s.
Well, who do you think did the best relegation battle? I think Danny probably got that one right.
Well, Danny and Mark both got 2 out of 3.
Yeah.
The only thing that puts Mark back is that he did go for West Ham, but as much as it looks silly now. That's not the stupidest prediction.
Palace haven't been in the bottom 3 since Roy Hodgson took over.
It doesn't mean they haven't been bottom 4 though, and they've been very.
I'm saying they've never been in the bottom 3. So
nor West Ham. So come on, that's not.
They've been in and out of it at some point.
Right, top 4. Me and Danny went for the exact same top 3. Me and Mark the same top 2. We went for Manchester City to win, which we were right. Liverpool to be 2nd. Manchester United to be 3rd. Mark did. Wait. Yep.
So we all had the top 3, by the way.
We all had the same top 3. Me and Danny actually had Arsenal to become 4th, and Mark had Spurs.
So I came closer.
So Mark actually came closer.
Yeah.
And also, Arsenal were 17th in about November. So,
that's true.
That's kind of.
They were more likely to be relegated than Palace.
Yeah. At one point, that was genuinely.
Spurs weren't far off top 4 when they actually sacked Mourinho.
No, they weren't.
And they sacked him like for bad form, but they also timed it in a way it was financially favourable.
Well, he
to
was
sack
8th.
him.
He was
But-
8th when they sacked him.
Yeah, but in terms of points, like I think they're still 8th now, but they're just so much further away from the top 4.
Well, Dan, I mean, I'm probably every time we do this, right? There's a strong chance, regardless of where they're at, I'm going to put Arsenal in the top 4 just because, right? Especially, and I'm going to put an Arsenal bold prediction one way or the other.
You like to believe, that's why.
Why not? Innit? I'm a fan. What am I going to do? I'm not like you, Rory. This fair weather fan who just wants to drop off.
I just see what I see. That's all I'm saying.
But Dan, like, did you? I mean, it's weird to look at it now. Like, you must be surprised at where Arsenal has been so poor this season, right? Or do you remember thinking like, all right, they got the players, they got the manager, they might make
I'll
it.
tell you what I thought would happen. So you looked at Arsenal the year before. You looked at how many Aubameyang got. You looked at the fact they just bought Willian, and I thought you've probably got one season with him. And you looked at the defence he just bought. So this was when they just bought Gabriel. They just bought Saliba. This is before they sold Martinez, probably. And I looked at it and thought they weren't that far off. They've just won the FA Cup. They've just solidified their defence. They've brought in some more attacking reinforcements. There's and I thought Spurs aren't going to make it because Mourinho is going to capitulate. I thought Chelsea would struggle because you'll see. I think one of my predictions was Lampard. And so I was looking at the teams going, well, it's only going to be Leicester or Arsenal. So I went for Arsenal.
I'm just gonna give a little peek into my bold predictions because of Mark's one being Spurs top 4. I actually, Rory, you might be impressed with this, and this is why I was so hopeful with. I was just so gutted when Spurs beat Leicester because I had one of my bold predictions that Spurs wouldn't finish above 8th, and Mark obviously put them in the top 4.
That is a great bold prediction. I think
we were on opposite
They did
ends.
finish 7th, so
yeah, but that's still a great prediction.
Right. See, and I had my rationale for that was, even though, and I must admit, I don't remember thinking that Son was actually this good. I knew he had a decent last season, but him and Kane are obviously, head and shoulders above the rest of their team. But when you're signing players like Højbjerg, and then you've got Mourinho as your manager, I just thought, this is a recipe for disaster, particularly with their back 4, who's terrible. I think Hugo Lloris is one of the most overrated goalkeepers I can remember. I really don't rate him that highly, even though he's a World Cup winning captain. I don't understand why he's at least put in a position where he's one of the best. I just didn't think they had it. And
I actually think I agree with you that they're massively underachieved, and I think that was a great prediction. But I actually think if you look at the quality in Spurs' squad, I think they should be a lot better than they are. But
that's Spurs, though, isn't it?
I think players like, obviously Kane and Son are world class, so take them two out of it, even, right? Bale's not even their player, so take him out of it as well. But you look at their
squad, a lot of goals you're taking out of Spurs.
I'm not saying take them out of the team. But I'm saying we know enough about those 3 players to not have to even discuss them. We all know what those 3 are about. Kane and Son are absolutely world class, and Bale was one of the best 3 players in the world on his day. But you look at players like Lucas Moura, Giovanni Lo Celso, Tanguy and Ndombele. These are good players.
Love Ndombele, such a good player.
But Rory, like for me right now, the biggest indictment would be if Richarlison was to play for Spurs, he wouldn't be out of place because he's good sometimes, underachieved a lot of the time.
Richarlison wouldn't get near the Spurs squad. Whereas
but a lot of their players, Lucas Moura is a very good player, but he is not good all the time. Like they've got players
that's what I'm saying though. Like even Eric Lamela, I remember him coming through at Roma and him being touted as the next Riquelme. I don't know where they got that from.
But
I thought he was Messi.
He was a flying winger, and Riquelme was an out and out 10. But they were saying he was going to be the next great number 10 to come through like Argentinian after Messi.
But Tottenham signed him after he had flopped, so he was already a flop when they signed him. But everyone just thought Poch might be able to get something back out of him.
Wasn't he signed by AVB?
What? Yeah, and that was it.
Bale replacement, wasn't he?
One of them, yeah.
Yeah, I just think it's mad that he stayed at Spurs for so long.
Because what sums it up, his game against Arsenal, he scored the Rabona, and then it was awful. And it's but he doesn't care because he's on the highlights like that.
Can I just say,
that style of player?
Quick one, Nuno's going there, right?
It's got to be.
They'd be stupid not to get him. The problem is if Kane goes, I don't necessarily agree with Rory. I think once you remove Kane, that team's going to struggle.
Oh man,
should they? Given the amount of actual quality they've got, though, like I think that there's a lot of players with Tottenham where you think there's a player in there. Like I watch Lo Celso regularly for Betis, and he is a player. I don't know what's happened to him at Spurs.
He is a good player, but Roy, he's a luxury player.
Yeah.
Like someone like Ndombele, someone like Lo Celso, someone like Lamela. These are luxury players that you flitter into a squad. Like what Pochettino did well is he had a strong team and he had luxury players that could come in and do special things. And more is another one.
Lo Celso play the Eriksen role, like off the striker.
But Eriksen was a better version. Like Lo Celso is super talented, don't get me wrong, but Eriksen was a better version of that in the Premier League because Eriksen is reliable. You know what you're getting out of him.
I thought Eriksen was mustard.
You have him every day.
I thought Eriksen was absolutely mustard. I was so glad when they sold him. But I could see, and I'm not for a second saying that Lo Celso is going to be as good as Eriksen, but I could definitely see Lo Celso playing that role. But he just doesn't really seem to. Not that I watch Spurs that much, but whenever I do watch them.
Celso? How old is he?
Early 20s?
He's mid-20s now. I'd say he's probably 25. I'm going to find out now, but I'd guess that he's 25.
So with Tottenham, I saw a great tweet that said Tottenham have spent 10 years replacing Bale, and they finally replaced him with Bale. And it's like, it's true. Is it like, you don't know what their recruitment's going to be, and you don't really know who's in charge. And
so Lo Celso's just turned 25. Sorry for interrupting. Okay. Lo Celso's just turned 25.
But one thing we know about Tottenham is they love a bargain. So if they sell Kane before the Euros, which they're only going to do if they get a huge amount of money, the issue they'll have is they won't spend that money until deadline day at midnight, which the season will already have been started. They'll probably already start on a down, and then they'll probably be bottom half of the table, get in a big sign-in, and then be chasing. Like,
do you think they go for one, or do you think they go for 3 or 4? Let's say they get 100 million plus a player.
They'll do the same again. It's Daniel Levy. He'll do exactly the same.
I mean, maybe Nuno comes in and just takes a few of them Wolves players, and then you go Jimenez.
How many Wolves players would you want other than Jimenez? And I mean, even
Pedro Neto. You take Neto.
Yeah, I guess you would. And João Martinho's too old.
Neves, you'd probably take Ruben Neves if you could in that Spurs team.
Maybe. But then they've already got too many midfielders. Because I was going to suggest Dendoncker, but they've already got too many. They've already got too many midfielders.
Dendoncker.
Yeah, Dendoncker's such an odd one. Like, or maybe it'd be like the Højbjerg signing.
I'm thinking you take Dendoncker over Højbjerg.
Well, but again, you say these statements, Rob. You're like, well, it's not saying much. You're like, yeah, I'll take like a smaller piece of shit out of a bigger piece of shit. It's like,
surely that's how you look at a sign, though. Surely you say, does he improve my starting 11? Yes or no? If the answer is yes, buy him.
I don't think Højbjerg is Spurs' problem. Like, they've got a lot of problems. Højbjerg's not one of them. Like, I know he's not the greatest in the world, but he's fine for what they need.
He's a squad player at best.
He's been their best player this year.
He starts every game, though. That's another.
Yeah. That's a problem, Rory. That is a problem if he's starting every game.
That's what I'm saying, though. That's like the issue with El Neni at Arsenal. Everyone goes, "Oh, he's a decent squad player." Right, but he starts half the time.
Let's move on. Just so we got to speed this up. Our 3 bold predictions. So I just went off with my last one, which was Spurs won't finish above 8. I'm going to take a win on that. All right. Only because
it's like that guy. I one team let me down on my accumulator.
I'm going to take a win on that.
Yeah. Cash out.
You can have that one.
That's only because my first prediction would be Aubameyang would be the standalone Golden Boot winner. That was my Arsenal one.
He weren't even Arsenal's top goal scorer.
No.
Well, we did. Yes, he was. We went through this. Lacazette, Aubameyang. You bought me that bottle of whiskey.
No,
this year.
Yeah, this year. Yeah, of course. And then this is actually like a future one because I put whoever comes out of Group F for the Euros will win the Euros. And Group F, just to go through, is France, Germany, Hungary, and Portugal. Hungary's got a pretty good team.
You're really sticking your neck on the line there, Chris.
That's about as bold as it gets, my friend. Mark went for Leeds to finish top 10. You can take the win on that. You could definitely take the win on that, Mark.
That's a great prediction.
It might not sound so big now that Leeds are in the top 10 most.
No, that is for a newly promoted team. That's a big statement.
Yeah, big one. You went Ole. This is Ole's last season. Ooh,
yeah. And I did say Well, weirdly, I feel like something could happen like that. Because I said at the start of the season, I'm putting Man United third. I think United will have a good season, and Ollie will leave. And I had a feeling he'll leave.
So you
I don't
didn't
know
think that you didn't think he'd
Get
leave like
sacked.
midway through? No.
No. I if you listen back, I said I think United are going to have a good season.
I always listen.
Ollie.
So what was the thinking behind that?
I think what Ollie had to rebuild our club, and he's had to get rid of a load of dead wood and start rebuilding. And I felt like he would get us to a certain level.
But then why did you think he would leave? That's what
I felt like
peak.
because there's got to be I feel like he was going to peak, and it's like.
Well,
okay,
Mark,
it's got
I think
to
you say get rid of the dead wood. I think part of your thing was twofold. It was to get rid of a lot of the wages that they were paying some of these bigger players and getting rid of those terrible contracts, and then also bringing through some of the younger players, which he's done with Greenwood and McTominay, and obviously McTominay was there last season.
He's
playing
totally
more so.
Our team's so much healthier than when he took it over.
Oh, massive.
The one thing I did not expect
Bruno
is Pogba. Like I thought Pogba was gone. I would have been like, he was gone last summer. He'd be gone in January. Like he's not part of the team. And now actually seeing him, I'm like, I don't know if Pogba would actually want to leave. Like he seems like he's enjoying it there.
Is he like 28, 29 now, Pogba?
Yeah, he seems like he's got himself
24.
a good little deal. Like he's got a team sort of built around him a bit now. That's the big one that swayed me. So I'm like, actually, Ollie has somehow turned Pogba, who was odds on leaving. Like there was, I think all of us would have said Pogba was gone, to a player who actually looks like he wants to be there and does try. So,
I think Bruno's got a lot to do with that as well, to be honest. Someone that helps him out in midfield, and there was so much pressure on him. And you know, obviously it probably was a lot of Sky Sports and Graham Souness talking about how much he's a nonsense person. And then, you know, to take that pressure off him and actually Man United playing well, maybe he just enjoys it a little bit more. Who knows?
Because if we're to do anything, we need them both. We've seen it when Bruno plays bad, Pogba can pick the team up. When Pogba plays bad, Bruno, we can't go with one of them. We'll take
while we're on the Bruno subject,
quick one
as well. Massive shout out to Sporting Lisbon for winning the Portuguese league for the first time in 18 years this year.
Good, congratulations.
Absolutely.
Mark's last prediction was Pochettino to Barcelona.
Ooh, close.
Yeah. How has Ronald Koeman stayed? Like,
Only because up until the last 2 weeks of the season, they were still in with a chance. They fucked it, but that's why.
Yeah, but that was because they went on this amazing run. He obviously came in, he had fallen out with Messi. I was like, it just seemed the main bet, but it's probably to do with Barca's lack of money.
But Poch would never go. He'd never go Barca, would he? Poch is an Espanol, right? He'd never go Barca.
Yeah, he'd never go Barca.
No.
We'll see. We'll see.
Danny's predictions was Lampard sacked before end of the season. In brackets, we won't count it as it, but he said replaced by Poch. Don't know why he said that.
It's because we said Lampard being sacked was too obvious.
Yeah,
I think we all we
How
did.
was that too obvious?
Because he spent I think I remember us saying because he spent 250 million in the transfer window.
Yeah, that's why I predicted it.
Yeah, I think we did.
No
say
chance he was keeping his job.
I think we said make it a bit bolder.
Yeah, that wasn't.
Clearly, I was having a slow day because my other two, I've just got it up, and my other two are useless anyway. They're not even real predictions. So
go on, let's hear the other two.
Well, I've already done the other one in the top four. Why did you let me have that?
Because you didn't prepare for the pod.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah, that was back when you was right in your job. And your last one was Bayern Munich to retain Champions League, though. United to get to the final, both wrong. So there you go.
United have got to a final.
Yeah, not the Champions
League. Well, they got to
final.
a European Cup final, haven't they?
Yeah. The better one.
Yeah, can I not take that?
No one wants to watch a final on Saturday night. Wednesday night is proper European
final.
Oh no! See, I actually like the final. I actually like the final on a Saturday. That's one thing. Usually I'm against change, but I like the final on a Saturday.
No,
of course.
I'm a bit mixed. But the problem is, on a Wednesday, I watched every Champions League final, and then since it's been on a Saturday, I've not watched them all.
Honestly, I make sure I don't go out that night.
Well, that's probably also because Man United haven't been in as many finals since then. So
yeah,
but I mean, Man United have been in what, 4 finals?
Well, the first Saturday one.
No need for that. Then
was the Inter Milan one, And I remember being at a pub and it was just on in the background, and I was like, "Oh yeah, it's
I
Champions
remember
League."
where I watched that. That was good. It was daylight as well. I like that. It was.
Right, this is going on a bit long, so let's quickly go. I just got three last points, because Aguero was his last game. Great send off for him. I just want to say that obviously he is. You could absolutely make the argument. It's difficult to say he's the best striker in Premier League history. He's got most goals per minute on the pitch.
Yeah,
you talk about Henry and Alan Shearer. I think might be the only two that you would put into question. Maybe a few more. I don't know.
Suarez, I think for that 2 years.
Yeah, it's tough. In any one season, you could
also,
put Fernando Torres. You could put all sorts of players.
Yeah.
No, but Suarez scored over 30, and I think RVP in his last season for Arsenal, first season for Man United. I think they're the ones you put. You go Rooney, Shearer, Henry, Aguero, Suarez.
Yeah, I was going to say, how's no one said Rooney yet?
It
Rooney
comes to
definitely.
whether you say individual seasons versus longevity. Like Rooney, Shearer, Henry, and Aguero have all had individual seasons up there with the rest, but also had
longevity with it as well, and the amount of goals that they've scored. He's Pep pretty much said that he's going to Barcelona, so that'll be interesting. I don't know if there must be some kind of fine for that. That's crazy.
Did you like the interview of Pep crying and being like,
I missed it.
No, I find Pep one of the most cringe geezers.
He was bawling his eyes out, saying like the guy can't be replaced. It's such a special moment, and I was like, well, you didn't start him.
You didn't start him for the last 3 years.
To be fair, Aguero apparently asked not to start. He wanted to come on afterwards. So
the reverse.
No, I mean for the last 3 years. Pep's been fucking up my fantasy team for the last 3-4 years because he constantly has been starting Gabriel Jesus, and even remember when he used to start Ian Atchop over Aguero sometimes.
Anyway, good shout out to Aguero. He will be missed. I would say he's at least top 3 Premier League strikers of all time. Maybe I would, maybe it's just recency bias. So I might put him number 1, above Henry and above Alan Shearer. I don't know, but good. It's going to be one of those things where gradually Manchester City have just been getting rid of, or not getting rid of, but their legends have gradually gone one by one. It's just one of the things where the whole league is starting to look different without players like Aguero.
I was thinking it the other day. I was looking at City. They scored 83 goals, and I don't think a single player scored over like 11 goals. Like they don't.
But even Kane, for as good as he is, there's not many strikers that are getting up to the top 20s, early 30s in terms of just Premier League goals. And
it's probably why I don't rate. It's why I always think I'll put Shearer just number 1 because I'm like, if Shearer was in that City team. My goodness, he would get some goals. Like it's such a shame he was a Geordie who just loved Newcastle.
Wanted to be real shame.
He won the
he
Premier
went to
League.
Manchester United. Oh my goodness! But
that's the Shearer's also better in the air than any of those players we mentioned.
Well, don't know. Did you see Aguero's header yesterday?
But come on, Shearer in the air was just a menace.
Yeah, he was.
He was good at everything.
Actually, probably Harry Kane.
The only way we could proceed a legend like Aguero's leaving is Roy Hodgson.
Legend though, what a career! Look at his career.
Do you know what? Because I didn't realize he was leaving, and then there was always this lamenting Hodgson. I was like, do you know what? He's all right. I think you looking back, and he was like, he managed. He did some big time managing. Like he managed fucking England. I mean,
he managed Inter. He took Inter to UEFA Cup final.
If he had brought Rashford on 10 minutes earlier, he could have had a different career for England. But do you remember against Iceland, he just didn't bring any substance.
But Hodgson's funny, man. He'd be the type of guy you'd see in a pub, like with a beer by himself, and then he goes, I used to manage that team. And you're like, what, England? Like, yeah. I did
Switzerland? Did he manage them?
He did manage. He managed Switzerland
it'd be stories for days, wouldn't
in
it?
the '94 World Cup. He managed Switzerland. He managed Inter to UEFA Cup final. He managed Fulham to a UEFA Cup final. Also, you say it'd be stories for days. He's probably forgotten most of them, isn't he? He's that sort of guy.
But don't forget how bad he was at Liverpool. He was bad
at Liverpool. Yeah. But I think what a career though. Like the geezer's managed. He managed Blackburn. He's managed just at the top level for like 30 odd years. So
can't do a kick up to save his life, but what a manager.
No. He was
the last day showed if you're a manager leaving, you don't announce it because you don't win your last game. But when you're a player leaving, you tend to play well, isn't it? There's something like Yeah, if you're a manager, announce you're leaving after the final game because clearly your team switch off.
Well, he's working with Palace. So
Remember when Fergie retired at like Christmas and then the whole team just dropped off?
Still won the league.
No, the
Right,
first, I'm
keep
talking
saying-
the first,
keep
the
saying-
first time he retired.
keep saying quick ones. We have to at least do just quick teams who you think is going to win the Europa League final and the Champions League final. Man United against Villarreal. I think at least half of this panel is going to say that Manchester United are going to win, right?
Yeah.
I fancy Villarreal.
There you go.
I mean, I am nervous about Gerard Moreno because of all the jokes been making all year. But
Yeah.
the guy is a goal machine.
He did nothing against Arsenal. Nothing.
He didn't have to.
It's a final, and it's
Yeah.
Emery in the Europa League. So
Also, how good is
I'm not counting any chickens.
how good is Manu Trigueros?
I don't know, but we can talk about that on another pod. Who do you think is going to win the Champions
He plays
League
for
final?
Villarreal. He plays for Villarreal, Chris. That's why I'm talking about him.
Champions League final, Manchester City against Chelsea. Do you actually think Chelsea even has a chance?
No.
No.
Well, they do because they have a chance, but how could you? Anyone who says Chelsea is just like going against. Look at City. They're not just beating teams. They're just destroying teams.
Go on, give me a good Chelsea one, Rory. Go on. I know you want to say it.
No, I think Man City will win.
Yeah.
The only chance is that Man City haven't beaten Chelsea this season.
Yeah, I think
I
I
see
think
both
City-
finals quite similar.
I'm going to say City and Villarreal.
Very good.
Yeah. See, I see both similar where Villarreal and Chelsea could win by 1 goal, or it could just go the other way and it'd be 4-0. I could easily see United
think Emery's
losing
too
1-0.
intelligent to get battered. I think Emery's too good of a coach and a tactician to get battered 3 or 4-0.
It's all about that first half an hour. It could easily, I could easily see a final, either final where the first half hour the Manchester clubs run away with it, or
Well, hopefully
it'll be a cagey affair.
Yeah,
Also-
hopefully it'll be a good one.
Also,
Go on,
that's
Mark.
Something quite
Villarreal
nice
team.
about Manchester having both European, like the Europa League and the Champions League. Something quite nice about one city having both cups.
Also,
No,
we'll go.
'cause
When your
we're
local
the little
rivals
one.
have the Champions League, it's not the best,
Yeah.
is it?
Yeah, no. Let's quickly do results league. Or last one on that. I think Arsenal just got away without getting in that stupid Conference League. So bittersweet not to finish above Spurs, but there you go. We'll just go with the results league where Danny just absolutely hammered us this season with 44 points. Congratulations, Dan. Well done. Clap, clap, clap. And then I was second with 34. Mark, a lowly 27. So no good. You tend to just, I don't think you take this game very seriously, though. You tend to do a lot of silly predictions.
I think that it was the away wins this season is why Danny scored so high. Like there was a record number of away wins while there was no fans.
Yeah, true.
Play the game. Don't hate the player.
No. It's just why 44 was scored this year because
Anyway,
right.
should we do front 3, back 4? Otherwise, we're never going to be ready for work in the morning.
All right. I'll go first just because I'm on a rager right now. In my front 3 this week, I do it every season, every year. It's the NBA playoffs. I know we all have our look at what are you rolling your eyes for?
Well, 'cause the NBA ain't what it was.
Well, you say that, and look, we all got our kind of our outside interests and sports that we like. And for me, year in year out, it doesn't matter what the season's like. Every time the playoffs come around, I get excited. It's their season now is almost inconsequential. It's a tough watch all season, but when the playoffs come around, that's when things start to get serious.
How many teams get in the playoffs now, Chris?
There are 80. God, I can't remember.
86 teams.
86 teams. No, it's 16 teams. 16
Right,
teams.
okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I just love it because I watched the first round this weekend. Pretty much every game, I think bar 2, I managed to get in, and it's just always exciting. As soon as the playoffs come around, that's when it becomes a real sport, and it's so competitive. And it's like when it gets to the fourth quarter, it's so close, and then I think it's one of those games where because there's so many points, it's just so critical when it starts to get clutch and when it starts to separate, and especially early on. I just love the playoffs. Like obviously you got the NFL playoffs, which is a 1 game and out, which is exciting. I know Mark, you into your boxing. Main events generally get quite exciting, but for me, the playoffs for
what it brings every season. I just love
And
it.
who's your prediction to win it this year for any gamblers amongst our listeners?
Well, this is why it's quite good because it's quite open. Because the Nets, what happened there? The Nets kind of had their new big three, but they barely played this season. LeBron James kind of like the Lakers did a Liverpool where they won the league last season, but pretty much dropped out of sort of one of the bigger sides. Although Liverpool did come third, I guess, at the end. And they came sixth in their conference. So I don't know. I think probably the Nets will do it, but I really can't call it. I have no idea. But it's going to be exciting, and there'll probably be a couple more front three, back fours on the way. I like the Mavs to do well because they've got Luka Doncic, who I love. He's quality, and I've always liked the Mavs. So we'll see. In my back four this week is SARS-CoV-2, aka COVID-19, because we are now eligible to apply for our vaccines, even though Danny's got it. So fuck you, COVID, you bitch. I'm not going to be protected from you.
Have you booked it yet?
I have. My closest one was Marble Arch. Can you believe it? I've got to go all the way to Marble Arch.
Yeah, they tried sending me to Ilford. I'll wait till I can get St. Nearer because it's done by area, isn't it?
Yeah, but I've got ones that are like 5 minutes down the road. I mean,
that's what I'm saying. I've got one that's 5 minutes down the road. They're trying to send me to Ilford. That's like a 40-minute drive from me. I ain't driving back with an armful of vaccine. 40 minutes.
Vaccine.
Yeah, because you're not allowed to drive. You're not allowed to drive for like 20 minutes or half an hour after they.
I drove straight after it.
Yeah, but you're hard.
Well,
He's got a self-driving car. Don't he be balling?
I bloody helped Chris move into his house within 12 hours of having my jab or whatever.
Didn't hear the end of it as well.
Mine was killing me as well.
Yeah, but I'm not too fussed whether I get it or not. I'm not an anti-vaxxer. It's funny hearing anti-vaxxers, isn't it? It's like I don't care about the vaccine. I just ain't being forced into it. It's like, fuck it.
I heard the vaccine's only 70% effective. It's like, well,
so I'm not going to get it.
Effectiveness, isn't it? Yeah, it's
pretty effective then. Yeah.
Yeah, it's still good.
Yeah,
I just know a lot of people do like suffer 24 hours worth of bugs. So I'm definitely making sure mine's on a Tuesday. So I'm not missing like social life because of it.
Well, I'm making sure mine's on a Friday because I ain't sitting for a day of work with COVID.
I just find it funny where it's like, I'm making sure I'm going to get my jab because I don't want people to think I'm right wing. What? I ain't a Tory voter. What?
You don't want people accusing you of being racist for forgetting your jab.
Goodness me, what's your thoughts on immigration? All right.
I look forward to getting I've had my vaccine sticker on your phone.
Yeah.
There you go. So that's me. Who's next? Go on, Dan.
Ready to go?
Okay, yeah. I'll be quick with mine. My back four was something else, but I changed it. My back four is the UEFA website. It's been pissing me off all day. I cannot get on to check my Euro 2020 tickets, 2021 tickets even. Apparently I've got them. I've got the email saying, congratulations, you've got your tickets. I've not refunded anything. I can't get on the freaking website to find out what I've got. I can't remember what I ordered. But it doesn't. I tried logging in. It says wrong login. I then log in again. It says it's the right login, but I've got to add in all my new details. Then I got in and it said I got no tickets. I don't understand what's going on. The website doesn't load. It's a nightmare. So they're in my back four because what a stupid website.
But we're still going, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as I get into it, then I'll let you know what I got.
So we're paying you in beer and pizza. So, yeah.
It depends how much. If they were as expensive as I remember, then maybe not. We'll have to think about it. Maybe a season ticket somewhere. In my front three is Japan. More importantly, Tokyo. Because today they officially announced the start of their vaccine rollout program, which means that in 60 days' time, when the Tokyo Olympics comes around, they will expect to have enough jabs to have done all the over 65s in Tokyo, which is pretty much their entire population. So congratulations to Tokyo.
It's going to be the oldest Olympics ever.
Did you say the Olympics are in 16 days?
60.
60.
60. They're going to plan to do 10,000 people a day, which in 60 days means they'll get most of the over 65. So I look forward to a very ancient and old audience coming to watch the Olympics.
Them Japanese are real efficient, but I reckon if they're going to do it quicker than anyone, it's going to be them. Like they are. They're very good.
They're just going into a state of emergency because of how bad it is there. Like it's just peaking now. It's just getting terrible.
It's just peaking.
That's the wrong place.
Wrong country.
And Chris has to do some editing.
What did I say? I just said the same as you.
What were you going to say, Mark?
I was going to say the Olympics and the Euros. It's going to be weird seeing that none of them are rebranding to 21, isn't it? Because all the merch and stuff's already been made. So we've got all be there in our Euro 2020 and Olympic 2020 like gear.
Maybe we could make some merch and just do Euros 2021 in it. We'll be the only ones doing it.
Yeah.
Well, Chris, don't say our idea about the other match. Don't be saying that on our.
I've actually
thing.
started looking into it, so we'll get some info on that soon.
That's a secret. That is. We're not telling anyone that one yet. Well, we'll tell the boys when we're off air, but not to everyone else.
Go on, Rory. Go on. I want Mark to finish. Rory, you go.
Right, so my front three is the governor of New Jersey.
Big sports fan.
Big sports fan. He must be a big sports fan because he came out today and he said that for the entirety of the 2021 NFL season, both the New York Giants and the New York Jets, who evidently both play in Jersey and not New York, are going to have full stadia, sold out, 80,000 every game. So even if we only ever get 10,000 in football grounds here, from next season, if you want to watch top level sport in packed stadia, then New York or New Jersey is the place for you, where you can see the Giants and the Jets.
I mean, the Giants and the Jets is hardly top quality sport.
Well, I did
Damn
think.
shame you've got two of the worst teams in the NFL.
I did say that. I did think that as I was saying it. But you've also got the number 2 pick in the draft, Zach Wilson, quarterback, who will be playing for the New York Jets next season. Yeah. So there is something to watch there.
What happened to what's his name?
Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold.
He's gone to the Carolina Panthers in exchange for a 3rd round pick. So he'll be in Carolina. And
he'll have a good season. I think he's going to have a good season, Darnold.
I think Darnold will have a good season as well. And the Zach Wilson era in New York begins in September.
I'm excited already.
Yeah, I'm buzzing. My back four is the British media for making such a big deal out of Boris Johnson's takeaway bill. Now, it's clear he wasn't spending 800 quid a week or whatever it was on takeout. So basically, there's been a big hoo-ha over Boris Johnson spent I think in the 10 months from like the beginning of the pandemic to the end of the pandemic or to Christmas, he spent something like 32 grand on takeaways. So
of his own money or taxpayers' money? Of
taxpayers' money, but the money came from a donor. The money came from a Tory donor, so someone actually paid for it. So it wasn't actually taxpayers.
Was that a lamb donor or a chicken donor?
Yeah, probably lamb. No, Boris, probably a lamb.
Very good.
But also so there's been uproar from certain political commentators saying, oh, it's disgusting. The average wage in this country is 27 grand and he's spending 32 on takeaways.
What's he bought for 32 grand? How do you spend that much?
He's ordering
service fees.
Deliveroo boy. No wonder Deliveroo stock's tanking them.
I wondered if he was buying Deliveroo shares. Maybe that's what he was actually doing.
So he's clearly got a load of staff that have been working all hours there, and then at the end of the night, they're buying like 15 pizzas, which will come to 150, 200 quid. So it's not like he's been sitting there gorging on pizza and KFC. He's feeding his staff because they're working long hours. But
even at that, he's got to buy 1,500 times that to get close to 30 grand.
It works out at something like 800 quid a week. So just over 100 quid a day.
Margaret Thatcher used to cook food for all of her staff. So
how do you know that?
Because
what have you really not looking at on the internet?
Yeah, it's because he's watched the what's it called?
Margaret Thatcher documentary on BBC.
No, what's the Crown?
Oh, The Crown, yeah, because she sits there.
She cooks for everyone in that.
And she does her laundry, doesn't she? While talking to
and she cleans and she does everything. She's a great Prime Minister.
Yeah, he loves her, honestly. You are the sort of guy that would like Thatcher as well.
Legend of the game.
Anyway, so yeah, that's my back four. Stop moaning about Boris. He's done a lot wrong, but buying takeaway for his staff is not one of the things he's done wrong. Leave him alone.
Yeah,
and give him grief
in those 10 months. I imagine there was a lot of late nights, and anyone who's worked late in an office knows
that you need feeding
past 6:30, 7 o'clock.
You need to
pizzas
feed
are coming.
people.
Yeah.
Exactly. I've never been asked to work that late without being fed, and I'd expect to be fed as well. So I don't really think he's done that much wrong on that count. He's done a lot wrong elsewhere, but in terms of feeding his staff, working late, you need feeding.
Basically, the Marcus Rashford of the political world.
Boris Johnson is the Marcus Rashford, apart from he feeds Tory staff. So that's my front three, back four for this week.
Tory kids.
Yeah.
All right, my front three, I'll be quick, did any of you see the Indian couple who got married on a plane? So it's Italy, India at the minute is just, it's not
Doesn't
in a good
sound
state.
great.
No. So this couple was like, we want to get married, we want guests, we're not allowed, weddings are banned. So actually, let's get a plane and get married in the air and have 160 passengers
Quality.
we happen to know.
What a great idea.
And get married while in the air, because
they must have had a bit of dough to hire a plane as well.
Yeah, and also, like, have you walked down some those aisles? Imagine trying that in a wedding dress. That's not.
Yeah.
But I just
I'm just thinking about
the innovation.
I'm just thinking about the wedding meal, microwave wedding meal.
Yes.
With a cup of Tetley that spills over.
Do you like the chicken or the veg, sir? Yeah.
The best man speech over the mic.
Exactly. Oh man, that's such a great idea. What a genius idea.
If you've got objections to this wedding, your exit's here and here.
I like the idea. My back four this week, I don't know if any of you watched the Eurovision. I didn't, but I heard it was quite good. And
I did. I thought it was all right.
Honestly, nothing interests me less.
But
I wasn't forced to watch it. I was a little bit forced to watch it. It wasn't as bad. I mean, it was bad. Like, obviously it's bad. It's crap music, but it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be.
No, I heard it was fun, but I saw the winners, the Italian winners. There was a clip while it was going by where the lead singer goes down to, I don't know, get something off the floor, or
he got some broken glass. He smashed the glass. He went down to get some broken glass off the floor.
And it looks awfully like he was doing some drugs, and the way he sort of mannerisms are, and he was drinking, and like people were accusing him of being under the influence. So the European Broadcasting Union drug tested them all after to say, okay, we've had a lot of complaints, and they've all come back clean. So if anyone knows a decent drug dealer, he needs a new one, because clearly it's what he's been sold. It's not worked. So
I saw a headline today that Scotland now want their own Eurovision singers because England got 0 points once again, and they're just like, we don't want to be associated with some losers anymore. Let's get that.
It was actually the best bit about it was, have you seen the Eurovision film, The Ice, like with Will Ferrell?
No, apparently it's funny.
It's really funny, and they've got a guy. We won't get the joke now, it doesn't matter. But there's a guy in there. He keeps shouting whenever they sing a song, and he just says "Play Yaya Ding Dong," which is its Icelandic song. And they got the actor to come and read out the points. So the actor came on screen for Iceland, and they said, "What did you think of the songs?" And he just went, "Play Yaya Ding Dong." And the whole place erupted. It was absolute quality. He just stayed in character the whole time. He was like, yeah, just play it. It was brilliant. That was the best bit of the whole show. Genius from Iceland.
No, I do find it funny. We get 0 points all the time. And then it's like, were we any good? And someone's like, no, we were.
Nah, it was bad. It was bad.
Yeah.
It was a good song.
It's political, but yeah. You got to go sort of techie. You got to have hardly any words. Like that's how you do well in the Eurovision. Just honest
to God, there were two types of song. There was we're basically in a wind tunnel wearing not very much clothes, and then there was hyper electro funk, like not saying anything but screaming down the mic with like techno playing. And that was it. And then there was the English and German, which were like normal pop music, and they both got 0 points. And everything else got like.
What I will say is, with our musical heritage in this country, what can anyone in Europe tell us? Like we're the country that gave the world Queen and gave the world. I mean, I guess the Swedes gave us ABBA, but fair play to them. But what are like Estonia and Greece going to tell us about music, really?
Yeah, and we gave the Eurovision blue. If we remember, they did it back in
Yeah.
10
We
years
gave-
ago, whatever.
What was her? What's her name? Jordan. Katie Price. Didn't
Katie
she do
Price and Peter
Eurovision one
Andre.
year? Oh man.
Right. Very good one. This was a long one, but a good one. Next week we have the European champions. Hopefully we'll have a few English teams in there. We'll have at least one. And I don't know. We'll talk about other stuff. All right.
I didn't get to shout out Barnet for staying up.
Oh, well done, Barnet. Well done. Just tweet it out to them. I'm sure they'll follow it. They've got like 4 followers. So there you go.
Well done. Came last in one season. You can't get relegated.
See you later, lads.
See you later. Bye bye. Love you. Bye.